Welcome back to my 100% tutorials. We're now on the third level of the run, Blood and Rust. Unfortunately, this is another tricky level, at least to get through smoothly. It features a little bit of everything: Titan movement, Titan combat, and pilot movement. The pilot movement is by far the hardest part of these due to the high frequency of narrow pathways and sharp turns. This is the main reason this level is considered one of the big three that are also included in the pilot's challenge category. Due to the sharp turns though, tap strafing is going to be a very useful tool during this level. So if you're a beginner, this is a great level to learn tap strafing on. But that's enough preamble, let's get into the tutorial. For the beginner difficulty, we're going to start off pretty relaxed as it's just some basic Titan movement. We're going to dash once immediately out of the start screen, then dash off the ledge on the right and crouch to conserve the speed for longer. You'll also see that we're always optimizing our dash usage by dashing off ledges and crouching to maintain speed. And we also make sure to always have a dash charging. Other than that though, this segment shouldn't really need much explanation. Just follow the route I'm taking here and copy my dashes. When you come up to this enemy tone dropping in, you can dash and slide over top of it before it moves out of the way. Just dash off the top of the ramp and crouch. You want to make sure you do the crouch jump in immediately though, or your legs won't retract in time and you'll bonk. From here though, dash off this set of boxes, then pick up the ton loadout and dash to the right. This is another good use for dashing too. It allows you to turn on a dime instead of being thrown around by your weights. But yeah, keep dashing along this path, making sure to save a dash for this turn. When you get to this open space, disembark behind this pipe, then cloak to hide from the enemy titans and climb up the pipe. Wall run to this side of the wall, jump across, then jump into the control room and hit the button. Another option you have here is to climb directly up to the control room. You can disembark and jump onto this pipe below it, then double jump, grab the wall, and double jump again to make it up top. I also feel the need to mention that many other runners promote the use of a disembark jump here, but I personally wouldn't recommend it. It's a pretty precise trick and is not something you want to rely on. After hitting the button though, come into this corner as we wait for an audio cue. After the audio cue, jump into a slide hop string and follow this path. Slide off the top of the locker, then fall into the crawl space. Come out to the left and cloak to avoid burying the bridge guardian. Then just take a couple wall kicks and fall down the slide here. On the other side, jump off and take a wall kick on each of these walls. As you come up to this doorway, shoot the grunt that walks out, then grab the wall of pipes and jump off to restart your slide hop string. Now we're coming into Sniper Canal. Wall kick off these first two walls, then go through the sludge and land on the outer catwalk. Shoot this second grunt if he's in the way, then jump off the railing to get back on the inside. Double jump over this group of enemies, then jump across to this other set of pipes. If you happen to fall anywhere on this segment, you'll want to stay out of the sludge for as much as possible. Use the walls for this. And remember that you can grab the same wall at a lower height, which will also help here. Make your way to this back wall under the pipes and climb up them to converge with the normal route again. As you come up this ramp, grab the right pipe and jump off to transition into the upcoming hallway. This hallway is very cramped, so it's tricky to get through here smoothly. The route I came up with is to wall jump off this back wall, slide, then sprint to this box, wall jump, grab the back wall again, and double jump up to the stairs. It's safe to say this is a little awkward to perform, so I also want to point out the option to tap strafe here. It is a more advanced piece of tech, yes, but it really simplifies the segment if you can manage it. It's never a bad thing to get a head start on harder tech. As you come out of the doorway though, grab this pillar on the left, then jump to this dark wall on the right, then jump again to cross the pit. Cloak after you hear the door click, then line up with the middle of the door. Slide through as it opens, then kick off the box on the left. Kick off the truck, then these two walls, then slide hop along the top platform here. And to clarify, cloaking is useful here because it prevents the stalkers from knocking you back. Now we're coming into Grunt Hallways. Jump off this box to clear the grunts up ahead. You may need to shoot one or two though. Hug this right wall in the hallway to dodge the line of grunts, then jump from this box to the back right wall. Wall kick again and try to slide hop through this hallway while dodging the various enemies here. And again, you can shoot any grunts that are in your way. If you're getting a little beat up in this section, remember that you have your cloak, which usually comes off cooldown around here. As you come to the stairs here, double jump to block your head and fall down so you can hit this button fast. After the door opens, jump off the right wall and slide hop into this next room. Double jump up to grab this wall and climb up top. I'll also note that when you double jump here, make sure that it's from a standing position so you get enough height. This could be a B hop or just a jump out of a sprint. After you climb up though, get in this corner and bump launch up to the top of the room. In this pipe section, it's pretty much impossible to keep speed here without some really precise advanced movement, so we're going to keep it slow and simple for now. Wall bump this first wall on the left, then jump up to the platform. Sprint around the corner and jump over the last pipe into a slide hop stream. Then you can just slide up across this room over to the button. After this door, wall jump off the box on the left, and slide hop through these rooms and fall down through the crawl space. Jump off the right wall and slide hop toward this button over here and press it. Then we're going to turn around and do Sludge Skip, which skips a several minute long wave fight in this room. So come over to the far left next to the sludge, then slide, jump, and double jump to mantle this small set of pipes. It's important that you stay to the left here because there's an invisible wall on the right that is pretty easy to bonk. But once you're across, you can navigate over to BT and embark through the wires. If only it was that easy though, there's actually a bit more to this. Finishing the embark animation while BT is still talking will crash the game, but taking too long after he's done his dialogue will cause him to run away and lose time. So we need to manage the length of his dialogue by choosing certain dialogue options at certain times. For each dialogue, we're going to hit the bottom option. As for when, personally I hit the first dialogue as I open this door, then I hit the second one as I'm pressing this last button. Assuming I hit the skip first try, this will always work seamlessly. You may need to play with the timings though depending on how fast and how confident you are. Let's talk about backups though. The fastest way to recover here is going to be to jump off both these walls in the corner and just strafe over to the pipes. Alternatively, you can also just completely reset and do the original setup. At this point there will be a few enemies though, so you'll want to cloak to avoid them. There is a downside to having to back this up though, which is BT will likely run away before you can get to him. In this case, you're going to have to back up to try and drag him back toward the wires, which can take a bit of time. Once he walks over though, you can squeeze in an embark if you stand in the right spot. After you embark, this next section is going to be pretty simple as it's all Titan movement. Just like the intro, it shouldn't need much explanation, just follow the same dash patterns that I'm doing. Make sure to dash at this corner to switch directions, and we're going to dash one more time once it's available. Then we're going to save both our dashes to slide up this ramp, then cut the corner and crouch for this last dash. As you run up the ramp, switch to the tone loadout before triggering the cutscene. If the cutscene doesn't start, that means you didn't press the button before Sludge Skip. In this case, it's unlikely that your checkpoint will be that far back, so this likely means you're soft locked and you'll have to restart the level. But for Kane Fight, we're going to sprint out of the cutscene in order to skip the animation of pulling the gun out. Then we're going to put 5 shots on Kane, 3 shots on the Brute, the missile barrage while we're right in front of the Brute so all the missiles hit the Brute instead of Kane. Then do 3 more shots on Kane, missile barrage, and aim it over his head in case he shields. Swap reload, then keep doing this 3-shot missile barrage combo until your core is available, then core. And finally, missile barrage one last time for his remaining health. One thing to note is that when Kane does put up his shield, you can shoot at the ground next to him and the splash damage will still hit him and give you a lock on. Kane also likes to run around the arena sometimes and break line of sight, so be ready to match his dashes with your own to stay on him. Once he's dead though, disembark and interact with his corpse. Then it's just a minute-long cutscene until the level ends. And that's all for Blood and Rust. I'll see you on the next level, Into the Abyss Chapter 1. Starting out with the intermediate difficulty, there's not any big changes we're making for the intro. The only thing I want to note is that you should be using no-ledge dashes at this point. So in addition to holding forward, you'll also need to hold left and right, then regress to just one of those strafe inputs to airstrafe afterward. This will make your Titan movement slightly faster by being able to airstrafe immediately after your dashes instead of waiting up the lurch window. The next addition is going to come right after we pick up the tone loadout. This strat is called Early Disembark. After you dash around the corner, disembark boost into a crouch kick off the left wall, then crouch kick off the second wall segment on the right, and finally kick off the wall of pipes on the left. If executed well enough, this should give you enough speed and height to clear this tank. Then you can take one last crouch kick on the right and jump through this pipe and cloak. Wall run around it and jump up to the higher wall, then you'll converge with the old route at that point. This pipe can be pretty finicky though, as it sometimes throws you off, crouch locks you, or causes a mantle. Unfortunately, I don't have any super reliable solutions for this. The only thing I can recommend is slowing down a bit to make it less volatile. One last thing I want to add here is that you can optimize your entry into the control room by jumping into this part of the ceiling and tap strafing to the right. Next up, we're going to add in a frag boost in the control room since there's a lot of pilot movement afterward. When turning the corner after the door opens, double jump into the ceiling and pull a frag at the same time. Double jump and bonk the ceiling again in the locker room, then throw down the frag after passing through the crawl space. And it's especially important to cloak this time because you're already low on health. With this extra speed, you may also want to skip some walls in the next room. Assuming I'm going 60 plus, I'll usually skip the first wall on the right and the second wall on the right. Another byproduct of going faster here is the grunt does not walk out fast enough before Sniper Canal. So instead, we're going to shoot at the doorway to scare the grunt back into the corner and prevent him from blocking us. Then we can even Tapstrafe at the doorway and wall bump the pipes to keep most of our speed into Sniper Canal. In Sniper Canal now, you can keep a tighter route by staying on the outside. We're going to crouch kick off this first outer wall and jump directly toward this pipe on the right side. You can either opt to crouch kick off the pipe or slide up off it and continue as normal. You want to try and keep this speed through the upcoming ramp, but wall bump the right pipe at the top instead of wall running it. Coming into Tapstrafe Hallways, I mentioned this in the beginner segment, but you should definitely be Tapstrafing at each of these turns now. It'll allow you to keep over 40 speed the entire time. Coming out of the hallway, double jump over the first grunt and bonk to set you up to land on the rail. This leads into the jump across the pit very nicely. It also avoids the scenario where the two grunts run up and block the pillar on the left side, which is really nice. After crossing the gap, you can build up a bit of pre-speed by C-fabbing or crouch kicking off the back wall before the door opens. If you add another crouch kick off the box, you can easily get over 50 speed immediately. We're also going to change the route through here a bit. This route is called Slingshot. So we're going to hop on top of the truck instead of doing the wall kicks, and we're going to crouch kick off both these outer walls to build up extra speed. With some good kicks, this can net you over 60 speed coming into Grunt Hallways. If you're going really fast, like 60 plus, I like to double jump straight over these boxes instead of landing on them, but you can still land on them if you want, it's not that important. Tapstrafing is going to be a really useful tool during this entire segment. It'll give you a lot more control over dodging grunts. Another thing with the extra speed, sometimes I find it necessary to half slide on this next box after the first set of grunts, so keep an eye on your spacing here. Next, we're going to fast forward to this pipe section right after the bump launch and clean up our route a little bit. Starting off, you want to grab pretty much any wall here and C-fab, then double jump and bonk the ceiling here for consistent setup. Tapstrafe this first turn, then do an instant double jump on your next slide hop to land on the edge of this platform. Then you can Tapstrafe again, extended slide hop, and Tapstrafe over the last pipe to make it through. If you bonk or lose speed in here, you can C-fab off this pipe on the right as a backup. Coming into Sludge Skip, we're going to throw in another frag boost in order to keep our speed through this crawl space. My setup for this is to slide and pull the frag at this door, so you'll want to double jump beforehand to save your slide boost. But after the door, double jump early as you're coming up to the railing, and throw the frag down as you're falling past it. Then you can crouch kick this inner wall on your way to the button and get up to around 60 speed or so. This is probably one of the least riskiest frags in the game because the checkpoint is usually really good. It puts you right back where you died to the frag. So I recommend giving this one a shot even though it's not the biggest time save. One last thing to touch on here is the actual Sludge Skip. Instead of doing this slow setup, we're going to transition straight into it. So C-fab off this wall, slide hop, and instant double jump to land next to this bundle. Then this gives you the perfect spacing to jump across the pipes without having to stop. That's going to be all for intermediate strats though. It's time to talk about our first Titanless route, Instant Disembark. This route immediately disembarks from BT after loading in, and utilizes 2 frag boosts to get to the control room button extremely fast. There is one caveat though, you missed the tone loadout. This causes some time loss in Kane Fight, but ultimately this route is still a net time save over early disembark, saving up to around 14 seconds at the top level. To start off, you're going to immediately disembark boost and pull a frag. Keep slide hopping, then throw the frag down at the peak of the second slide hop, or you can use this grass texture on the ground as a visual cue. After the frag, double jump up to this rock through the trees. This can be a little tricky because there's collision from the trees sticking out everywhere. But then do an early double jump off that rock, and pull another frag once you can see past all the leaves. Then we're going to throw this frag down around this ledge. Full disclaimer though, this is probably one of the worst frags in the game right now in my opinion. It's hard to hear the beeping over all the noise, and your speed coming through here is going to be slightly different every time. It also complicates the route that comes immediately after it, which I'll get to in a second. So either you'll have to strain your ears for the audio cue or just feel it out. You will want to adjust the throw based on your speed though. If you have around 55 speed, you can usually throw it straight down at the ledge, but once you get up to 60 and above, you'll have to start throwing it a bit forward, which comes with a degree of risk. After this, you want to try and fit in 2 crouch kicks off these rock clusters and slide hop along the roofs. At most speeds you can do this just fine, but if you have a really strong opening, this approach becomes less and less feasible. If you double jump right before this first kick with around 75 speed or more, it's no longer possible to do the second one due to the different trajectory you have. The only way to hit both kicks with this speed is to double jump before the second frag, letting you keep a lower height after the first kick. Obviously there's a problem with this though. You would then be relying on a good frag boost, otherwise you'll fall short and bonk. So the safer strat here is going to be to just skip one of the kicks. If you feel that you have a good read on the frag though, you can do the early double jump and possibly shoot up to 90 speed right off the bat. But finally moving on to the roofs, when the wall below angles back to the right, you can drop down for another crouch kick. Then before the tunnel, drop on the wall and crouch kick one more time. And as a small note, steer clear of the crack in the wall since it does have collision. Afterward, crouch kick the left side of the tube and Tapstrafe into the tunnel on the right. At this point the route converges with the early Disembark route, except we're a lot faster. The only thing I'll make note of is the pipe transition. At this speed it's very easy to get flung away and die if you try to wall run it. Instead, I highly recommend just slamming straight into it to kill your speed, then wall running around it. It's possible to mantle this way, but it's better than the alternative. Something that can happen while doing instant disembark is you'll fall to the lower part of the level. If this happens, the only way to save this is to jump between these boxes on the right side of the ramp to barely get enough height to clear the ledge. But then you can continue as normal. Moving on to the next strat, we have a lot of frags at our disposal on this level, so we're going to add another one in the control room. Stand in the usual spot, but look roughly at this part of the wall. It's not precise at all. Pull a frag after this first audio cue, then drop it and start slide hopping after the second audio cue. The extra speed will slightly change the second frag boost. Instead of bonking the locker room ceiling, just slide off the lockers on the right. Additionally, you may need to delay throwing the frag a tiny bit. I usually time it roughly with the peak of my slide hop. With the double frag boost, it's not uncommon to be going around 70 or 80 before the turn into Sniper Canal, so I suggest upgrading to a spam strafe here. If done well, you can avoid having to wall bump the pipes at all. For Sniper Canal, there's some slightly better strats you can implement when crossing the gap. The first of which is going to be a double wall kick. So instead of going to the pipe, you can do a strafe kick, then a crouch kick off these outer walls and go to the tunnel. The harder strat is going to be just a single crouch kick off the first wall, then straight to the tunnel. This requires that you go into it with a lot of speed though. You want to aim to have your speed somewhere in the mid-70s after the crouch kick in order to make it. For the next segment, we're going to fast forward all the way over to Sludge Skip. With how many frags the expert routes use on this level, you want to grab more from this box before the Sludge Skip area. This even gives you one extra frag, which we'll be using on a new strat in a second. A small optimization you can do during Sludge Skip is instead of mantling the pipes, you can just land on them, then tap straight over to BT while keeping most of your speed. After Sludge Skip, there's another Titanless route that you can implement, but it only saves a couple seconds when done really well. Most people call this pilot transition. After embarking BT, dash once toward the ramp, then disembark boost, pull a frag, and double jump. Crouch kick the beam on the right, then throw the frag down a bit before you hit the ground. You can also throw it off reaction. From here, crouch kick the right wall, tap strafe left, then crouch kick the inner part of the next wall. For this next section, your speed is going to determine what route to take. If your speed is roughly in the 60s, take off the corner of the pipe above and immediately drop down to the railing without double jumping. Then just slide hop and double jump between these platforms until you get to the ramp. If your speed is 70 plus, you can aim for the middle section of the pipe instead and double jump straight to one of the later platforms. Then just navigate to the ramp again. You'll also want to watch out for the small sets of stairs as they can cost you speed. Weirdly enough though, if you jump instantly off them, they sometimes have no effect. Moving on to Kane Fight, if you did instant disembark, that's going to change the strat for Kane since we no longer have the tone loadout. But firstly, if you did pilot transition just before this, you'll have to re-embark BT after starting the fight. And a small note, since we have to wait for the Brute's shield to drop anyway, pilot transition actually saves a bit of extra time when doing the expedition strat. But immediately after gaining control, start charging your missiles and dash up to the Brute. Once fully charged, release the missiles into the Brute and finish it off with your gun. If you have any extra bullets, you can switch to shooting Kane before reloading. After you reload, keep shooting Kane while going for critical hits. Ideally, Kane will shield when you get low on ammo, and that will give you a chance to reload. But sometimes he'll shield late, and you just have to wait it out. But before this next mag, we're going to stand in our electric smoke ability, which reportedly makes him move around less, making headshots easier. So unload one last magazine into him, then core. Again, you'll want to keep in mind that Kane likes to run away, so stay moderately close to him. The core should do enough damage to finish him off. If not, just melee him afterward. That's going to be it for Blood and Rust though. Thanks for watching, and good luck on the learning.